Hi guys, here's Group Fiji. Today we're gonna make a video presentation about Fiji. So Fiji is an island nation in the South Pacific. Comprising over 300 islands, it has a multicultural population with indigenous Fijian and Indo-Fijian as major groups. The Australian government, TFAT, is creating the new task force called Andes Researchers. Its goal is to get up young Australian minds to make video profile analyzing key issues for Australian from expanding internationally. Our group from Monash University, one of world's best, has been selected to join. So today we're gonna through 5 questions to talk about. So getting to the first question, how has globalization influenced Fiji? At first, what is political economy? It actually refers to the study of the relationship between the individual and society, and more specifically, the relationship between the citizens and states. It encompasses how political institutions, the political environment, and the economic system influence each other. And globalization has influenced the political economy of Fiji in actually 3 ways. First one would be the market liberalization and diversification. Globalization has promoted Fiji to liberalize many of its sectors to attract foreign investment. By opening up to global markets, Fiji has sought to diversify its economy, which traditionally depended on a few primary commodities like sugars and garments. Second one will be the influence of the international organization. Fiji's economy policies has been shaped by its interaction with international organizations like the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, and the World Trade Organization. This institution has advocated for policy reforms, liberalization, and other measures to integrate Fiji into global economy more effectively. Third one gonna be tourism as a dominant sectors. Globalization has propelled Fiji into the limelight as a sought-after tourist destination. The influx of the tourists has boosted foreign exchange earnings and employee opportunities. However, the reliance on tourism has also made Fiji vulnerable to global economy downturns and trade affecting international travel. Getting to know more about Fiji, Fiji's legal system is based on British common law. As a former British colony, Fiji's law was significantly influenced by the British legal framework. While it's hard to define the entire nation as collectivist or individualistic, Fijian culture traditionally values the community and family ties, indicating a more collectivist orientation. Its approach can be observed in way village and traditional communities operate, emphasizing communal over individual needs. However, the push and pull of globalization and Western influence also introduce more individualistic values, creating a dynamic interplay between two orientations in modern Fiji. Fiji has a mixed economy, which means it contains both private and public sector activities. While the market is largely based on capitalism with the private ownership and free markets persisting in the place, there is also degrees of government intervention in certain sectors. Tourism is the mainstay of Fiji's economy, followed by the sugar industry, remittance from Fijian working abroad, and various smaller industries like mining and agriculture. The country has been working on diversifying its economy base and has aimed to create a more open market, conducive to foreign investment, while still maintaining some level of protection for local industry and resources. If you want to do business on Fiji, you actually have to focus on 2 different challenges. First one will be legal framework difference. While both Australia and Fiji has legal system based on the British common law tradition, there are specific law, regulation, and practice unique to Fiji. Understanding this nuances is vital to ensure compliance and to anticipate potential legal hurdles. Second challenge is cultural difference. Business operation in any foreign country necessitate an understanding of local customs and norms. This is tied to the legal realm as well, where traditional or communal rights might intersect with the normal rules. This pseudo misunderstanding could arise if Australian film does not adequately respect or account for these cultural norms. Thank you guys, and now welcome my partner, Kim Wei-Wu, to talk about economic development in Fiji.
To analyze the level of economic development and human development in Fiji, we're considering various factors and indicators. The first, we will talk about the economic development in Fiji. We got 4 points to illustrate. The first one is GDP. GDP is fundamental measure of economic development. It provides an overview of the total economic output of a country. And Fiji's GDP is 4,943,248,200 as of 2022. And GDP per capita is by the population offering insights into the average income of Fijians. A higher GDP per capita typically suggests a higher standard of living, and Fiji GDP per capita for 2022 was $5,370. After that, the employment rate of Fiji is 54.24% in 2022, up from 53.59% previous year. And the Ease of Doing Business Index, this is assesses the regulatory environment for business, including the factors like starting a business, obtaining permits, and enforcing contracts. And the average of it in Fiji was 78.8 from 2008 until 2019, reaching an all-time high of 102 in 2019 and a record low of 43 in 2008. Second of all, we would talk about the human development in Fiji. We base on 4 points to analyze. The first one is Human Development Index, which is HDI. And for HDI, it combines the indicators like life expectancy, education, and per capita income. A higher HDI indicates better human development. For the indicator, we provide data for Fiji from 1980 to 2021. The average value for Fiji during that period was 0.685 points, with a minimum 0.587 in 1980 and a maximum of 0.743 in 2020. The latest value from 2021 is 0.73. And the life expectancy means longer life expectancy suggests better healthcare and overall well-being. It's a critical factor for the quality of life of the population. The life expectancy in Fiji was estimated to be around 67 to 68 years. After that, the education levels was stayed by 5 points. The first point is education system, and Fiji has a formal education system that follows a 7 to 5 to 3 structure, which means 7 years of primary education and 5 years of secondary education and 3 years of higher education. For primary education, in Fiji is typically for students aged 6 to 12, and the secondary education is from age 13 to 17. And the literacy rate in Fiji was around 94%. It's high level of literacy in the country. And also, the English is the official language in Fiji. About the healthcare system, Fiji has a public healthcare system that provides service to citizens and residents, which is called MOHMS, stand for the Ministry of Health and Medical Services. To determine the importances of these measures to an Australian firm considering establishing a presence in Fiji, the first is the workforce quality. A higher HDI suggests a more educated and healthier workforce, This is crucial for Australian firms looking to establish operation in Fiji, as they would benefit from a skilled and productive workforce. Second of all is the market potential. A population with better education and healthcare is likely to have higher disposable income, which can translate into a larger and more attractive customer market for Australian products and services. And now it's time for Chen Ye Zhang.
Thanks for Tingwei Wu speaking. Hello everyone, I am Chen Ye Zhang. I will talk about the cultural distance between Fiji and Australia and the traits in central similarity. I will analyze the cultural differences between Fiji and Australia from the following 6 aspects: historical background, common languages, religious tradition, values, economic development, and political structure. According to the History of Oceania 2023, Aboriginal Australians migrated from Africa to Asia and arrived in Australia about 20,000 years ago. Fiji has a rich Latin culture and influenced from other Pacific islands. Some of the population migrated from Southeast Asia, and some were indentured labor bought by British from India in the late 19th and earlier 20th centuries. In terms of languages, the official language of both countries is English. However, the native Fijian language is spoken as the first language, and Hindustani is also widely spoken. According to Nina Everson 2016, 64.5% of Fijian are Christian, 27.9% are Hindu, and 6.3% are Muslim. Similarly, Christianity is the most common religion in Australia. There are also some Aborigines in Australia who still carry on the traditional old customs of life. Fiji's religious culture is more diverse than Australians, but Nina Everson's 2016 also adds that Australia is a secular country, and religion does not play a significant role in public life. At the value level, Fiji places more emphasis on family and society. Australia, on the other hand, is more individualistic and egalitarian. As a developing country, Fiji's economic development is mainly based on tourism, agriculture, and the sugar industry. Fiji's economics heavily depend on tourism, which accounts for about 40% of the total GDP. According to the Fiji Country Brief, as a developed country, Australia already has a highly developed and diversified economy. There are strong business in mining, agriculture, and service. Australia's HDI is 0.944, which is significantly higher than Fiji's 0.741. Fiji is a parliamentary representative democratic republic that has experienced several cups in recent decades in the direction of more stable governance. Australia is a federal parliamentary constitutional monarchy with a stable demography and a strong tradition of rule of law. Under the influence of globalization and cultural transmission, both Fiji and Australia has been exposed to global media, international trade, tourism, and technological advance. This has led to similarities between the two countries in terms of clothing, diet, and consumption culture. However, Australia is a developed country while Fiji is a developing country, so there will be differences in the extent to which the two countries are affected by globalization. Both countries have a history of British colonialism and a similar post-colonial influence on their laws and social structure. However, influenced by the indentured labor system, Fiji has a unique Fijian culture, which is a fusion of indigenous Fijian culture and Indian culture. Australian Aboriginal culture is in stark contrast to Anglo-Australian culture. Both countries are actively promoting the preservation of indigenous cultures, recognizing their rights, promoting their languages, and learning about their histories. However, Australia has a small indigenous population and Fiji has a large indigenous population. This may affect local culture, preservation, and respectation. Fiji relies heavily on its tourism industry. It is also common for Australians to choose to visit Fiji. This has further promoted cultural exchanges and integration between the two countries. Let's welcome Liang Zhendong to do some further speaking.
Thanks for Chen Ye. Hi, I'm Liang Zhendong, and I will introduce and analyze the question 4. The question 4 consists of two parts. The first part of question focuses on the views of Adam Smith and David Ricardo. Meanwhile, identify and explain which industries the chosen country should focus on when looking for trading countries. Let me start with Smith and Ricardo's views on absolute advantage and comparative advantage. Comparative advantage means that when a country uses fewer resources or a shorter time to produce a certain commodity than another country, it indicates that this country has an absolute advantage. About the comparative advantage exists when one country is able to produce a commodity at a lower opportunity cost than another. The key difference between the two is that absolute advantage focuses more on productivity difference within countries, while comparative advantage focuses more on relative opportunity cost. Therefore, in Fiji, there is clearly an absolute advantage to the Fiji water industry. Fiji water is Fiji's natural resource and is bottled in Fiji without human contact and then exported. Fiji water is not only great tasting but also rich in minerals. The silica contained in water, and it helps to remove waste from the body and protect joints and organs. Considering the positive and negative effects Fiji would have if it focused on producing water. First of all, the positive aspect is that Fiji can become more specialized, which can reduce production costs and improve potential quality issues. To achieve the purpose of obtaining potential benefits. Moreover, Fiji water as a key export product will help Fiji earn more foreign exchange, which can help Fiji stabilize its currency and the balance of payment. On the other hand, there have several negative aspects. A single export would make Fiji more vulnerable to external shocks in the face of global markets. There are also potential environmental problems. With increased water withdrawals like to deplete the aquifer and prevent Fiji's water from being produced. The second part of the question is about which theory should the government of the chosen country follow when conducting international trade. The government of Fiji should follow comparative advantage in international trade. As an ice country with relative limited natural resource and human resource, Fiji itself cannot achieve the best in the world compared with large countries with very rich resources, but it can find products with lower opportunity cost than other countries. As you can see this from graph, Fiji actually has a very diverse range of exports, such as sugar, seafood, and agricultural products. It is clear that Fiji opportunity cost in these industries is lower than that of other countries. Meanwhile, the most obvious example is Fiji's tourism industry. Well, there may be more luxury or better infrastructure on a global scale. Fiji offers an experience that brings together their culture, environment, and values. In the conclusion, by focusing on industry where Fiji has a comparative advantage in the global market, this can better help Fiji to maximize its trade benefits. That's all for question 4. Let's welcome Zechen to discuss question 5.
So I'm responsible for question 5. The government of Fiji currently employs a variety of trade policy instruments in support of its international trade policy, and these tools include tariffs, trade agreement, export subsidy, and traffic quotas. The tariffs, the government of Fiji can control the price of imported and exported goods by setting tariffs. This can include import duties, export duties, and area-specific fee, trade fee, exportation. The use of tariffs supports the theory of comparative advantage, which states that countries should focus on producing goods in which they have a comparative advantage and use trade fee to protect their industry from international competition. And the trade agreement, the government of Fiji may enter into bilateral or multilateral trade agreement with other countries or regions, such as free trade agreement or regional trade agreement. This agreement helps to reduce tariffs and other barriers to trade, promote trade liberalization, and support the theory of comparative and absolute advantage. And export subsidy government can encourage their firms to increase foreign trade by providing subsidies to export goods. This supports the domestic demand theory that exports create jobs and increase domestic protection. The last one is traffic quotas. The government can implement a traffic quota system to limit the amount of specific goods that can be imported. This can provide a degree of control over imports, protect domestic industry, and support protection theories. And below are some examples of Fiji policies into different trade theories. Comparative advantage theories. Fiji has agriculture and fish products as one of its main exports, reflecting the country's comparative advantage in their areas. The government may support this theory by reducing export tax on these commodities or providing export incentives. In addition, Fiji may take measures to reduce its dependence on commodities in which it does not have a clear domestic advantage in order to focus on its areas of comparative advantage. Next one is absolute advantage theory. If Fiji has a clear absolute advantage in certain areas, the government may strengthen these areas, so export subsidy or other incentives. For example, if Fiji has an absolute advantage in high quality organic agriculture products, the government can encourage farms to switch to organic agriculture and provide export subsidy to increase the export. Domestic demand theory. The government can support the domestic demand theory by creating jobs and increasing domestic production, so export. For example, if the government of Fiji encourage the export of fishery products, this will create jobs and increase domestic income levels, thus increasing domestic demand. Protection theory. In some cases, the Fijian government may adopt protection policy to protect domestic industries. For example, if the domestic agricultural sector is subject to international competition, the government may impose import tariffs or traffic quota on agri projects in order to limit cheaper imports, thereby protecting the interests of the country farms. Yeah, thanks.